Hey, George here. Today I'm going to talk about my first impressions review of Dehancer. Now, if you don't know what Dehancer is, it's a film emulation software that can help make your digital images or videos look like film. Now, Dehancer did reach out to me to ask me to do a review. However, they have no say into what I actually talk about, and they don't get to see this video before I post it. So that's just a quick disclaimer. Now, I've heard of Dehancer before, but I didn't really know that much about it when they reached out to me. So I went ahead and did some research, and they have software available for tools like DaVinci Resolve, Final Cut Pro, Adobe Premiere, as well as for Photoshop, Lightroom, Capture One. So whether you're doing video or photos, they can emulate the film look for your digital files. However, in this particular video, I'm going to talk about their iOS application, which can help your iPhone photos have that film look. Now, you might be asking yourself, why do I even care about having the film look? I mean, my iPhone photos look pretty good already. Well, I mean, this is really just a stylistic choice, and it's pretty subjective, I would say. I mean, not everyone cares about having the film look, but if you just want to have your iPhone photos look a bit different, or you want to have that, nostalgic feel to it, then this would be a great way to get that look. Now, when we talk about the film look, what does that really mean? Well, back in the days before digital photography or digital video, things were actually shot on film, and there were literally stocks of film that gave different looks depending on which one you used. And for people who would like to emulate those traditional looks, these kind of tools like Dehancer would be the way to go about doing that. Now, one thing I will say though is that if you don't know anything about film, then these tools like Dehancer could be a little bit confusing to use, or could be a little bit complicated to use, just because it does rely on you knowing something about film or film stock. So if you don't know anything about film, it can be a little bit tougher to use as a beginner. However, having said that, they essentially are just like things like filters, right? If you think about like an Instagram filter or a filter on any photo, that's basically similar in concept. Okay, so in their iOS application, what's great about it is that you can get previews of every film stock. Okay, so when you open up the application, you can basically pick a photo or video. I just went ahead and took a photo of my Peak Design stand wallet, which I'm going to use as an example here. So once you kind of open it, you open your photo, you can scroll left and right to see all the different film stocks available. And you can kind of see that they do have quite a bit of them. It looks like they went ahead and tried to emulate a lot of different film stocks. Now, personally, I don't know a lot of these film stocks. I mean, I shot film a long time ago, but I didn't actually use a lot of these film stocks, so I'm not super familiar with them. But you can kind of see that as you just kind of click through, you can see what that looks like. So I mean, it's pretty cool if you want to get that look. You can actually then further edit them if you want. Now, by moving this up and down, you can actually get more view of the controls here. Now, there's just a lot of other available things you can do here. So you can obviously, crop it. Now, kind of what's cool is you can also see the histogram as you're working on this. So if you want to adjust, for example, the exposure, you can do that while still looking at your histogram. Now, oftentimes when I go out to take photos, whether for fun or with my family, I often bring my Fujifilm camera with me. And so I usually use that to take photos. However, it's not always the most convenient. Sometimes I need to take a selfie or just grab a really quick shot. Sometimes using my iPhone is just easier. However, the issue with that is that it gives me that iPhone look. And so sometimes I would like to be able to edit my photos afterwards to match a little bit more with the type of images I take with my Fujifilm. And so a tool like Dehancer is a great way to be able to do that. Now, Dehancer, I think it's okay for beginners, but it is a little bit challenging if you don't know anything about film. Just my honest opinion. I think it's worth exploring, but just be aware that there's going to be a lot of terminology in there that you might not be familiar with if you don't already know much about film. But it's a great way to just explore, learn the terminology, and especially if you plan to eventually get into film photography, I think actually it's a great way to learn about it. Now, if you're interested in getting Dehancer, you can get 10% off using the promo code I've included in the description below, whether that's for photo editing or video editing on the computer or on your iPhone. All right, I mean, that's it. That's my initial impression of Dehancer. I think it's a interesting way to get the film look on your iPhone photos. And, for a beginner, would I recommend it? I think it's worth a try, but I think it's not really beginner friendly. And I mean, like most people, I'm not going to go and dive through their user manual. I think their interface could be maybe improved a little bit just to make it easier for a beginner to use. But, if you're interested in film photography, or if you're interested in at least knowing how to make your images more filmic looking, then I think it's a great tool. So with that, I hope this was interesting for you. It was definitely interesting for me to kind of learn about Dehancer. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.